Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the SFX Loop. I am your host, Jay Byrne. Okay, so I see a lot, I watch a lot of physical media related channels and stuff like that. And they're always doing their collection videos where they show off their collection. And I mean, I got a lot of movies. I got other bookcases around here. I got a bookcase in my room that's got DVDs in it and stuff like that. I had more. I've gotten rid of a lot. I've downsized an awful lot. But I thought, you know what? It would make sense for a channel that focuses on movies and physical media to show off certain parts of their collection. So I'm going to do this in pieces, okay? This is going to be kind of like the first part that I do. I'm not going to show everything I own, but I'm going to go by companies, okay? In this episode, I am going to go through all of my Scream Factory releases. Actually, it's probably Scream and Shout because I kind of have them mixed together. But, yeah, so I'm going to show you all of my Scream Factory. I mean, you've seen this bookcase behind me a million times. I'm going to show you some of what's in it. And, you know, this bookcase right here is kind of like my good bookcase. This is where I keep all my cult stuff and my favorite stuff. I have all my other movies in separate bookcases around the apartment that are kind of like just the regular stuff, the normal stuff. I mean, there's good stuff in there as well, but this is my, Scream Factory, Arrow, Criterion, Vinegar Syndrome, all that stuff. Blue Underground, Synapse, all that. That's all in this bookcase is what I keep. This is my good stuff. So. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, if you like this kind of stuff, I hope you enjoy it. I'm not going to talk too much about each movie, but I'm going to go through and if I have something to say about a movie, I will. But generally, it's going to be these first two shelves right here because that's my Scream Factory Scream Factory collection. So here we go. This part right here, this whole front here is the box sets. So I decided, just because I thought they looked cool, to put all of the bigger sets, the ones that aren't just single release movies in a regular slip or a case, into the front here. And like I said, this is Scream and Shout, so it's Shout Factory basically, all my Shout Factory releases. But it's like Scream Factory stuff. So my first one here I got, as you can obviously see, this is the Amityville Horror Trilogy box set. This one's a little bit different because I actually sold off my copy of Amityville 1 and I put my 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. So this kind of breaks the wall a little bit here, but I put that in my box set here and I kept that with Amityville 2 and Amityville 3D. These are cool movies, fun movies, I enjoy them. It's good stuff. I love the original Amityville Horror, so that's a good deal. I actually really like Amityville 2. I think Amityville 2 is awesome. This movie right here I really like. I enjoy this movie. There's just something creepy and cool about, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep this so you can actually see it. Something creepy and cool about this particular movie. It's actually kind of neat. But yeah. And Amityville 3D's in here, and it actually is a 3D version of the movie, although I don't have a 3D TV to play it anymore. It did look kind of cool when I had it. It's the 3D is a little off. Let's keep moving here, or this is going to take all day. Next set here is my Critters set. I have the Critters collection, which has got, Critters 1, 2, 3, and 4, if anyone cares about Critters 1, 2, 3, and 4. These movies are fun. I've always enjoyed the original Critters. The original Critters is a cool freaking movie. Let's see. The Fly. This Scream Shout Factory box set that they put out that had all the Fly movies. It has the original Vincent Price ones as well, and it has the Jeff Goldblum one and the sequel with Eric Stoltz from the 80s. So that's actually pretty neat. It's a cool looking box here. This is all, like I said, right now, these are actually Scream Factory releases. This is a Shout release right here. This is awesome, and I've always been a big fan of these documentaries. The Decline of Western Civilization, Penelope Spheris' stuff. This is awesome, and I'm a huge fan of the second one, The Metal Years. That's just a great movie. But the first one, the punk rock one, the original Decline, and the third one is actually really good because it's kind of a serious movie about these punk rock kids who I don't know, they're street kids there, and it reminds me of Streetwise, if you're familiar with the movie Streetwise at all. Friday the 13th, Oh, my Scream Factory box set right here. I actually sold my 4K release of this movie because I think the 4K sucked. It was a terrible release. And this is my Friday the 13th box set. Looks pretty cool, actually. It's huge, and it's big, and it's got every Friday the 13th movie all the way up to the remake, which is, as of right now, every Friday the 13th movie, and a bunch of bonus features and stuff. This is a really great release, and all the transfers are totally worth it. It's good. Now, I had the Halloween box set, which I got over there, the original Halloween box set. I don't have all the movies that were in it anymore because I sold the individual ones. Because I bought these 4K releases right here. Halloween 1 in 4K. Halloween 2 in 4K. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, 4K. Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, 4K. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. And then we've got this collection that Scream Factory put out, which is, it's 1995 to 2002. It is Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, which I actually really like, H2O, and Halloween Resurrection. These are all 4K as well. So this is like every Halloween movie in 4K. I mean, the Rob Zombie ones are back there. You'll see them after. Move along here. It's Alive. Yeah, baby. Larry Cohen. This movie's pretty freaking cool, actually. And this is all three It's Alive movies on Blu-ray. These are actual Blu-rays right here. So this one's good. I've had this set for a while. This is the Omen collection. I have a feeling we're going to be getting a 4K release of some of these movies at some point in time, but this is the Omen. It's the 1, 2, the Final Conflict, the made-for-TV movie, The Awakening, and the remake, which it's all right. It's not too bad. Liv Schreiber, I think, is the guy who's in it, who kind of played the Gregory Peck role. Is that who's in this? Liv Schreiber? Is that who it is? Doesn't really tell you. Yeah, Liv Schreiber. Mia Farrow's in it and stuff like that. It's pretty good. It's not bad. This is a cool set, actually. These are good, all good transfers of this. I think the Omen, the original Omen, was taken from a newer 4K scan, and all the sequels look great. This is Shout. I just got this not that long ago. The Police Academy collection. I had an import version of it. Now, these are actually really nice because they're all new 2K scans from the interpositives. But I gotta tell you, Police Academy 1 through 4, cool, but it gets a little weird after that. All right, let's get moving here. We got 10 to Midnight. Now these are all these right here are Shout Scream Factory releases. So we've got 10 to Midnight, Charles Bronson. This is an awesome little movie. It's trashy, fun. It's Bronson fun. 10 to Midnight. After Midnight, which I love this movie, and this was a huge influence on my horror anthology films, and I've always been a big fan of this movie, After Midnight. It's really cool. I do have I got rid of a lot of Scream Factory stuff, but I still have some of the older ones. Most of them are newer, but I do have a few of the older ones in here. I've been collecting Scream Factory since they started. So, and for a while I was trying to get everything, and then I kind of gave up. Alligator. This is awesome. This movie is great. This was made by Louis Teague, the guy who did Cujo and stuff. I love this movie. This movie is a classic, like kind of like Jaws-inspired film. Alone in the Dark. Let's see. Maybe you might be familiar with that classic old VHS box cover for it. Alone in the Dark. It's got Jack Palance and Donald Pleasance in it. It was a New Line Cinema film made by a guy named Jack Shoulder, who made Nightmare on Elm Street 2, actually. And yeah, it's a crazy little movie about a bunch of basically insane lunatics who break out of a insane asylum. So, American Gothic. I've loved this movie since high school. I used to watch this movie on cable. This movie was awesome. It's really cool. It's about a group of people who end up at this cabin in the middle of nowhere with this like messed up like backwoods family. It's just a fun movie. April Fool's Day right here. This is a classic movie. I'm sure you're more familiar with that if you know April Fool's Day. I love this movie. This is the guy who made he made the movie there with Carol King. When a Stranger Calls. This is he made this in the during the slasher phase. It's almost more of a comedy with a twist, but it is technically a slasher film, and it's actually a cool movie. Of course, we've got Army of Darkness here. This big special edition that Scream Factory put out because I'm gonna have all the Evil Dead movies. I have the regular Evil Dead movies over there somewhere, and with all my other stuff because they're not Scream or Shout or anything like that. This is an older one right here. Some of these older ones have had problems playing, but I mean, I haven't played this in a while, but this is cool. I really like Bad Dreams. It's kind of like a Nightmare on Elm Street rip-off movie from back in the day. Yeah, and Visiting Hours was pretty cool too. It's got William Shatner in it, I think. Right? Does it have William Shatner in it? I think Visiting Hours has William Shatner in it. Michael Ironside. William Shatner's in it, yeah. It's just about a hospital and people dying in a hospital. But this is a cool double feature, and I kept this one because I really like Bad Dreams. It's got this kind of like Charles Manson-y thing going on with this cult and like, I don't know. It's kind of Nightmare on Elm Street-y. It's got one of the girls from Nightmare on Elm Street. I think she was in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Black Christmas. Here we go. Black Christmas is obviously a classic film. So, yeah, not much to say about that. Bob Clark, Black Christmas. This is a 4K release, actually. I'm not really saying 4K Blu-ray over and over again. I should probably be saying that, but you can probably see it from the package when I pull them out. There is quite a few 4Ks now because I've updated a lot of my Scream Factory releases to 4K. The Blob, of course, 4K. This is a cool movie. A guy named Chuck Russell made this movie. I think he also made one of the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. I think that's what he was most known for, but yeah. This is the remake of The Blob with the Dillon's brother there, Matt Dillon's brother in it. This is an older release right here. This is Blu-ray, and this is Body Bags, John Carpenter's Body Bags. This was a made-for Showtime movie when I was growing up. It's an anthology film with John Carpenter plays like a kind of like a crypt keeper host, and there's 3 stories in it. It's a cool movie. This has some weird problems with the sound, but they never fixed it. I don't know, a lot of sibilance in the actual sound, but it's totally watchable. But decent transfer. I don't know if you can even still get that one. Might I say, if there's a slipcover on any of these, I have the slipcover. Like, I've always been kind of obsessive about making sure I don't have any of them that came with a slipcover that don't have a slipcover. So if it has a slipcover, it came with a slipcover. If it doesn't, it doesn't, because I kind of always buy them right when they come out, so I get the slipcovers right away. Brain Scan. This is a freaking cool movie. This has got what's his name, Eddie Furlong in it. It's just a weird sci-fi horror thing. It's gonna take forever here. I'm still in the bees. Okay, let's start moving a little faster. Bubba Hotep 4K. This is a fun movie. I don't love it, but it's a fun movie. The guy who made Phantasm, Don Cascaroli. All right. The Burning, classic 80s slasher film. Awesome. Came out around the Friday the 13th era. This has got a really early role by Jason Alexander of Seinfeld fame. It's just a good cropsy. It's a good 80s slasher film, and gotta get this back in where it is because I moved everything around. Now we're at Candyman. Here we go. Got Candyman, 4K, and this is an awesome release. Ton of special features. The only problem with some of these releases is the discs were scratched, but it doesn't seem to be a problem. It plays okay for me. This is an older release too. Farewell to the Flesh, Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh, the sequel. I like this one. I think I have the third one somewhere down there from the Vestron collection. The Car. The Car is pretty awesome. This is a classic movie. I used to have a friend whose kid was obsessed with this film. We used to watch it over and over again. This is kind of like made in the era of like Jaws ripoff films. It's got James Brolin in it. It's kind of like Jaws with a car. Really, it basically is what it is. All right, and then we get into the Child's Play movies here. Oh, I have a few steel books down there. You know, I'll do those last. Those I kind of in a different section, but we've got Child's Play 2 in 4K. Child's Play 3 in 4K. Bride of Chucky in 4K. That's as far as I've gotten so far. I technically could go a little further. I might want Seed, but I haven't gotten that one. But that's just expensive to buy all this stuff. Class of 1984. This is an older Scream Factory one. This is a Great, great movie. This is, yeah, I just love this film. It's got Roddy McDowall in it, and it's a song "I Am the Future" by Alice Cooper is the theme song. It's really just a cool movie. I don't know. Coma, Michael Douglas, classic 70s. This is Scream, right? Yeah, it is Scream. 70s like paranoid thriller. Kind of Michael Crichton did that. The Craft, of course. Anyone who knows horror movies knows that. That's a fun one. That's 4K. All right, Creepshow, 4K. I love Creepshow. Creepshow is one of my all-time favorite movies. Let's see, Crawl Space. This is an old one. This is actually cool. This is an Empire Pictures film. This is Klaus Kinski. It's David Schmoll, the guy who made Tourist Trap, made this movie. This is a really cool movie, actually. It's just fun. Dawn of the Dead, the remake, 4K. I do have Dawn of the Dead from Second Sight, the 4K version, down there somewhere. That's not a Scream Factory release, but I have that. Day of the Dead. This is one of the early first Scream Factory releases that came out. This is, yeah, Day of the Dead, man. Classic. George Romero's zombie movies, some of my favorite. It kind of sucks now with The Walking Dead and everything. It's like everything zombie has been done. It's like you can't make a zombie movie that's creative anymore, but those movies are awesome. Dead of Winter, this is a great suspense film, and I always liked this movie growing up. It's got Mary Steinberger in it, and she's just crazy. She's like an actress going crazy in this house. I haven't watched it in a while, but it's a really good movie. This, I don't want to mess up my slipcover then. This is a Wes Craven film from the early 80s, kind of a forgotten one about this Amish community and like, I don't know, Deadly Blessing. This is a really cool Wes Craven movie that's easily forgotten about. It's got Sharon Stone in it. Yeah, it's just a really cool movie. And it's a it's an old Scream Factory release that I've had since the beginning when Scream Factory first came out. One of their first couple of releases within like the first year, I think. Deadly Friend, awesome, classic. Another Wes Craven film from the 80s. I love Deadly Friend. A lot of people crap on this movie, but I think it's a great film. Dead Zone. This just came out not that long ago. 4K version. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite Stephen King adaptions with Christopher Walken, directed by David Cronenberg. This is a movie that I've loved ever since I was a kid, is Dead Time Stories. I used to see this on cable on Cinemax when I was a kid. This is just a really cool movie. Yeah, it's an older release as well. Not super old, but this is one of the early first Scream Factory releases too. And I bought these right when they came out, when Scream Factory first started to release and stuff. Death Valley, I'd never seen this movie, and I used to see this video box everywhere. It was a Universal film with frickin' Peter Billingsley from A Christmas Story. Ralphie's in this movie, but it's a really cool movie. It's about a kid who's kind of by himself getting stalked by a killer, and it takes place in Death Valley, basically. This movie's awesome. It was an independent film called The Devil's Candy, creepy movie. There's a bunch of these IFC films that came out by Scream Factory. They put a bunch of them out. This is one that's actually kind of hard to come by now. Disturbing Behavior. It came out by MVD, I think, as well. This is the Scream Factory version. I love this movie. I saw it in the theater when I was a kid. This movie is so like X-Files, but via Scream. It's kind of an interesting thing. Drag Me to Hell. Sam Raimi. Yeah, baby. Drag Me to Hell. I saw this movie when it came out in the theater. I loved it. This movie is great. This was Sam Raimi's return to horror after not making horror movies for a long time, since like Army of Darkness. Like, he was more known for like Spider-Man and stuff, but he made another horror movie. Dr. Giggles. This is a silly little film. This is actually good because it's actually in the correct aspect ratio. It was kind of wrong. Warner Brothers had a release of it, but it was wrong. The Editor. This is by the guys who made this movie called Father's Day for Trauma. It's kind of a low-budget, shot on video kind of thing. Not shot on video, but shot digitally. This movie's cool because it takes from a lot of Italian horror. It's the style of it is Italian horror, basically. 4K, Escape from New York, which is just an absolute John Carpenter classic. So this is worth having if you like John Carpenter movies. I love me some Nature Gone Wild, so here we go. We've got Empire of the Ants and Jaws of Satan. Both of these movies are great. I loved Empire of the Ants better. It's got Joan Crawford in it. It's really freaking nutty. It's a cool movie about a bunch of people who end up at this thing. I don't know. It's like I don't know. They're just on a trip and they all get attacked by ants on an island. So now we go into The Exorcist. We've got Exorcist 2, which is not the greatest movie in the world, The Heretic, but it's, for completion's sake, I have it. It's a good transfer, at least bonus features and stuff. 4K release of Exorcist 3, which is awesome. I love this movie. This movie's terrifying and just creepy and in a weird way. All right, so we got, now this is an older Scream Factory one. Evil Speak with Clint Howard. Freaking cool movie, man. Evil Speak with Clint Howard is an awesome little movie. Just, I don't know, about a kid who gets picked on and just uses his computer to raise the devil to kill his enemies. Eyes of a Stranger, this is a cool one too. This is like an 80s slasher film. It's got Jennifer Jason Leigh in it. It's actually a really cool 80s slasher film. Let's see. Final Exam, I love Final Exam. Final Exam is a 80s slasher, but the majority of the movie is just like these kids goofing off and hanging out, and there's a lot of then people start getting killed off. Final Terror. Yeah. This is a classic from the 80s. It's got Daryl Hannah in it and freaking Adrian Zmed from like Friday the 13th and Bachelor Party and stuff. This is just a really cool movie. This is taken from a film print though. It's not the greatest transfer, but it's definitely much more watchable than the old VHS versions were back in the day. All right, we're getting there. Firestarter, Stephen King, Drew Barrymore. Pretty good 80s film. Who made this? Mark Lester? Oh, the guy who made this made Class of 1984. It's not a bad movie. It's a pretty good, I think, adaptation of a Stephen King movie, and it's kind of neat to see Drew Barrymore at that age in something that's not like child-related, like E.T. This is an older release as well, Fright. This is a cool British horror film about a babysitter getting stalked by a killer. It's actually a really kind of neat movie, kind of in the same vibe as like, what's that other movie? When a Stranger Calls. From a Whisper to a Scream, this is a neat anthology film. It's got Vincent Price in it, by this guy named Jeff Burr, who made like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. It's just a cool movie, and it's kind of like his early work. The Funhouse, we've got Tobe Hooper, Funhouse. This movie is classic. This is a 4K version of that. I love this movie. It's just got a great style to it. I think I'm missing stuff here. Hold on. This is an older release too as well. I have this for Witchery. This movie Witchery, which is kind of got David Hasselhoff and Linda Blair in it, which is just this crazy freaking movie from the 80s. It's just a weird Italian movie. Ghost House is not the greatest movie, but it's in here. It's with this. I don't even know if you can get that one anymore because that's an old release. Ghost Story, the Universal film, the one that has all the old guys in it. It's got like Fred Astaire, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks. It's a really cool movie, and I always enjoyed this film. It's just got a nice atmosphere, and it's a ghost story. Ginger Snaps. I've always been a huge fan of this movie, and it's really cool that Scream Factory did this. This is an older release, I think, too. I wish the sequels would come out. Specifically, the second one was really good. The third one's not that bad, but I wouldn't mind getting copies of the other ones. Okay, we got two here. These two Halloween, I'll do them together. The Rob Zombie Halloweens 1 and Halloween 2, and this is the booklet. These came in the Scream Factory box set, which I'll show quickly at the end. It's what I have left from that box set, the Halloween box set, because I sold everything else. I love this movie. This is an 80s slasher film. He Knows You're Alone. Tom Hanks I think it's his first role in a film. He plays this random side character. This is just a really cool 80s slasher movie about this killer killing brides. Like, this girl is getting married and the killer is like stalking brides. I love Hell Night, Linda Blair. I actually met Linda Blair and she signed a picture for me. It's in my introduction there for Hell Night, and it's awesome. And I mentioned this movie to her, and she was kind of psyched because I guess not a lot of people talked about this movie. My grandmother originally showed this movie because she recorded it off of like some UHF channel, and she liked it, and so she showed it to me, and I just love it. It's a cool 80s slasher. The House That Drew Blood. This is an Amicus anthology film. I'm kind of a fan of Amicus and then their anthologies like Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror and stuff. All right, so now we are done with this row. Let's go to the next row. work our way through here. This next row kind of covers the rest of the Scream Factory stuff, and then we get into the Shout Factory stuff, which is the back row. Try to go a little faster here. The Howling, Dee Wallace, Joe Dante, classic 80s werewolf horror. One of my favorite werewolf movies, actually. This is an older one, but this is really cool. I like this movie. I Saw What You Did. It was a William Castle film. It's just a really cool movie. It's another babysitter stuck in the house type movie with a killer on the loose. We'll do both of these at the same time because it's kind of quick. Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2. I know some people have issues with these movies because of Victor Salva and all the stuff that went on with him. And the movie Clown House, which I did own, but I don't own anymore because part of me just, yeah. That's a crazy, deep story that involves assault and a young boy on the set while the movie was being made, the movie Clown House, Victor Salva. But Jeepers Creepers 1 is an awesome horror movie, and Jeepers Creepers 2 is great. I don't really care about the sequels past that point, though. Michael Dougherty made this movie, Krampus, which is awesome. This is a 4K release of Krampus. It's a really crazy, creepy horror film. Lady in White. This is an older Scream Factory release, but this is a really just cool ghost story, a creepy ghost story. It's got, Lucas Haas is the main character in this, and he's just a little boy who's kind of gets involved in this, like, ghost story where he's trying to solve the mystery behind something that this woman that was killed. All right, so we're on Land of the Dead here. George Romero, Land of the Dead. This is the fourth part of his zombie trilogy. I'm a big fan of that. I'm not a fan of the later ones so much, but I like the original four, you know, Night, Dawn, Day, and Land. And I thought Land was good. Land got a bad rap, but Let's Scare Jessica to Death. This is a pretty awesome movie right here. Classic. Just, I think it kind of has a made-for-TV vibe, but it's a really cool movie. This is an old one. Double feature. Love at First Bite and One Spittin'. I used to watch One Spittin' all the time when I was a kid. Jim Carrey. It's kind of like a comedy vampire movie. It's pretty cool. Love at First Bite's okay. It's not the greatest movie, but it's not bad. My Bloody Valentine. 4K, baby. I'm going to move a little quicker here. Classic. That's the original, the 80s slasher. This is an older one. The Nest. This is just a crazy bug movie. It was Julie Corman, Roger Corman's daughter, I think. It's her. She was the one who did like Sleepaway Camp and Slumber Party Camp and all those. New Year's Evil. This has come out again from Kino. I never got the Kino version, but this version looks fine. This is just a fun slasher film. This is an older Scream Factory one as well. Let's do the Night of the Demons ones all together here. We've got the Night of the Demons 1, which is the 4K, Night of the Demons 2, which is Blu-ray, and Night of the Demons 3, which is Blu-ray. I'm a fan of all three of these movies. I like them. I actually liked the third one a lot more than I expected. The original Night of the Demons is absolutely classic. Night of the Comet is a awesome, is a 4K release of a classic 80s movie. This is just a good cult film. I have always loved Night of the Creeps. Fred Decker, the guy who made the Monster Squad. This is just a classic movie that I've watched a million times, and I've loved it as a kid. Let's see. Nightmares. This is an old one. This was I guess a made-for-TV movie that was turned into a theatrical film. It's got 4 short stories in it. Emilio Estevez is in one about called the Bishop of Battle, which is a classic. That's a good one. Then I got the other ninja movies down there, the Enter the Ninja and Revenge of the Ninja, but this is Ninja 3, The Domination, which was the third one in that. This is a batshit crazy movie with the girl from Breakin' in it. It's Lucinda Dickey. Nuts. Wes Craven 4K here, People Under the Stairs. This movie grew on me. It took years for me to actually really kind of appreciate it, but I like it a lot more now. Brian De Palma, baby. Phantom of the Paradise. This movie is awesome. I love it. It's classic. This is an older Scream Factory release, too. Piranha. 4K, another Roger Corman classic. Directed by Joe Dante, one of Joe Dante's early works. It's a really good classic one. Here we got the 2 Poltergeist sequels. I have Poltergeist 4K in my regular stuff. This is Poltergeist 2 and Poltergeist 3. They came out in special editions from Scream Factory. These are just regular Blu-ray. These are older Scream Factory releases as well. Prince of Darkness, more John Carpenter in 4K. I love that movie. Alice Cooper's in it, which is crazy. Prophecy. This is a movie it's a Blu-ray. This is a movie when I was a kid. John Frankenheimer made this. I saw this movie on something called Preview, which was kind of like an early HBO. And I never knew what the movie was, and it took me years to figure out what it actually was. But it's that movie, Prophecy. It's got Talia Shire in it. I think James Brolin? No. Talia Shire's in it. I know that. Pumpkinhead, I love this movie. It's absolutely classic, and this is a great 4K release of Pumpkinhead. It looks amazing. That is just a classic movie. I think the only movie Stan Winston ever made. If I'm correct. Rabid, David Cronenberg's Rabid. This is a cool movie. This is just a whacked out little film starring an old porn actress, and it's just kind of nutty. And it's kind of reminds me of like a Night of the Living Dead type of scenario in an apartment building. Raising Cain. This is really cool. Brian De Palma. I saw this movie in the movie theater. I always kind of appreciated it. Not the greatest De Palma film, but a fun movie with John Lithgow. Kind of reminiscent of like Sisters. All right, so we get into Return of the Living Dead here. I've got the 4K of Return of the Living Dead and Return of the Living Dead Part 2, the regular Blu-ray that Scream Factory put out. Okay, let's get a little further. Serpent in the Rainbow, more Wes Craven. This is not 4K. I'm surprised this one hasn't come out in 4K. But this is a great movie. It was based on a real book by this guy who traveled to like, oh God, somewhere in the Amazon and learned about real zombies. And it's just a crazy story. It's based on a true story, supposedly. The Sentinel, I love this movie. I've always been a huge fan of this movie. It's very creepy, very weird. It was made by Michael Winner, the guy who did the Death Wish films, and he's just nuts, that guy. But that's just a cool, like, 80s horror film. Serial Mom, I'm a big John Waters fan, and Serial Mom is just great. It's cool that Scream Factory put this out. Session 9, this is an awesome, like, low-budget horror film that came out when, I was in my 20s. And Brad Anderson, he made a couple other cool movies, too. Did some Masters of Horror stuff. And I've always been a fan of that movie. I'm glad that came out. It's just a creepy. It was filmed at the Danvers Mental Institution, which is in Massachusetts here. I think it's still around, but it's actually like a facility now, like a apartment for old people or something. Shocker. More Wes Craven. This is an older release as well. I never loved this movie, but it's not the greatest movie, but I can enjoy elements of it. It's not my favorite Wes Craven movie. Here we go with Silent Night, Deadly Night now. We've got Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. I love the original cover art for Silent Night, Deadly Night here. This poster rules. And Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. I have the sequels too that came out from Vestron. All right, Sleepaway Camp. These are actually kind of hard to find now, and I think they're worth some good money. I love these movies. Angela, Sleepaway Camp, they're classic. They're really great classic films. I'm moving a little faster because we got so much to go through here. Slumber Party Massacre in 4K, 1 and 2. I love this. I had the third one. It's all right. The first two are the best. The Spell. This is a made-for-TV film as well. Not bad. Cool, like little kind of Carrie ripoff. Squirm. One of my favorite 70s, like, Animal Gone Wild films. It's all about worms. It's a good one. This is an older Scream Factory release as well. Straight Until Morning. This is a crazy freaking, oh God, Euro, like, psychodrama. This is just an awesome movie. Rita Tushingham is in this. This is such a cool movie. The Strangers. They did a special edition of The Strangers, and I really like this movie. This isn't 4K. This is regular. Then we got Tales from the Crypt here. We got a bunch of them. We've got Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, which I saw in the theater, and I always liked that movie. Bordello Blood actually grew on me. I kind of like that one too with Dennis Miller. And then we've got the original Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror. Remember I said I was a fan of the Amicus. This is an old Scream Factory release as well. Then Tales from the Dark Side. This just came out. This is a 4K. This is really cool. I love this movie. It's classic. Tales from the Hood, Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf is the original Teen Wolf, is awesome. Michael J. Fox, classic 80s film. Always been a fan. Since I was a kid. I used to watch it on TV. TerrorVision and the Video Dead. This is one of the really early Scream Factory releases, and I love the Video Dead. TerrorVision is hilarious too. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, which Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4. This is a cool one. It's cool that this finally came out. Has multiple versions of the movie, actually. They Live, John Carpenter, yet again, in 4K. So yeah, Trick or Treat, Michael Dougherty, classic film. I'm glad Scream Factory actually put this out. This is a great Halloween feature, and I love to watch it around Halloween every year. It's just an awesome movie. It's an anthology film, which you know I'm kind of inspired by. Scream Factory TV Terrors, DVD here. Initiation of Sarah and Are You in the House Alone. I actually have the Initiation of Sarah on Blu-ray from Arrow as well. But Are You in the House Alone is an awesome made-for-TV movie. I'm a fan of these made-for-TV films from the 70s. So we're going to finish off Scream Factory. We've got Urban Legend, classic, you know, Scream era. They did that one. And of course, you want your rat horror. You got Willard and Ben here, which is awesome. We're getting to the end of the Scream Factory stuff. Witchboard, which I love. This is the guy who made Night of the Demons as well. So I love this movie. Kevin S. Tenney. It's a classic. Tawny Katane of like white. She was popular during the MTV era with a lot of metal bands. This movie is awesome. You'll Like My Mother, a thriller. I just really like this one. It's so cool. I love these like Euro thriller style movies. This is an American. No, this is a European movie. I don't know if it's American or European. All right, so now we're into Shout Factory. I'm going to go a little quicker on the Shout stuff, but we've got, this is all the Shout Factory stuff now. We've got the Bill and Ted box set that has Bill and Ted 1 and 2. We've got Bill and Ted in 4K, because I had to have Bill and Ted in 4K. I love Bill and Ted. Billy Jack, these movies are awesome, the Billy Jack movies. This is the whole collection, although some of the movies are a little messed up on this release. It's still cool to have. Biloxi Blues with, whatchamacallit, Matthew Broderick. I always liked this movie. It was a sequel to Brighton Beach Memoirs, which is in here too. Born in East LA, some Cheech Marin for you. Fun 80s comedy. I love Breakin' and Breakin' 2. I'm a huge fan. It's just awesome. I love Breakin' 1. It's just an amazing... I can watch that movie over and over again. Grew up loving it. Brewster's Millions with Richard Pryor. That's a good one. Let's see. Brighton Beach Memoirs. And then, like I said, Biloxi Blues is actually kind of like a follow-up to this. I love this movie. This is one of those classic, just like coming-of-age films. The Burbs. Joe Dante, baby. This is cool to have a special edition with Tom Hanks. This is actually a good classic movie. Can't Stop the Music, a movie I've loved ever since I was a kid. The Village People, just fun movie. This has got Bruce Jenner in it before he became Caitlyn Jenner. But it's actually Bruce in that. Cheech and Chong's next movie. I am a fan of the Cheech and Chong's films, and this is just, I think this is their best one, the second one. I have the other ones too, some of the other ones down there. Colors. A cool cop film with Sean Penn and Robert Duvall from the late 80s, early 90s. I think it's the 80s. The Deer Hunter, I mean, there's not much to be said about this movie. Classic. This is a 4K. This was Shout Factory's very first 4K release. It's actually not bad either. Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, and Race with the Devil. Both of these movies are great. I love Race with the Devil. Race with the Devil is a classic 70s movie with freaking Peter Fonda and Warren Oates. It's just a good 70s psychological thriller. Eddie and the Cruisers, baby. There you go. Double feature. Let's see. Exterminator 2. Here we go. This is not the greatest movie, but Exterminator 1 is awesome, and I have that from, I think it's Synapse put it out. Fargo. I think it's my favorite Coen Brothers film. I love this movie. Blood Simple is great too. But Fargo is like my favorite Coen Brothers film. Hype. This is awesome. This is a documentary about the grunge era, which is really, really cool. So if you're into that. The Incredible Shrinking Woman. This is a movie I loved as a child, and I just was always been a huge fan of. Lily Tomlin. And it's just a great movie. It's a classic. The Jerk with Steve Martin. Come on, you gotta love The Jerk. This is just a ridiculous film, and it's just a lot of fun. This is an old Shout one right here. Kentucky Fried Movie. John Landis, I think, directed this, and it's a cool John Landis movie. An off-the-cuff George Romero film, Night Riders, which is really cool. It's got Tom Savini in it, and Ed Begley Jr. It's just a cool movie about like a Renaissance fair. Legally Blonde, because I've always loved these movies. Legally Blonde 2 kind of sucks, but Legally Blonde 1 is classic. Reese Witherspoon, I saw this. I used to work in movie theaters, and I really liked those when it came out. Little Nicky, Adam Sandler. This is just a fun Adam Sandler movie. It's got freaking Rodney Dangerfield in it. I think Ozzy has a cameo in it. Matinee, Joe Dante movie, classic. I've always loved this movie with John Goodman. It's kind of a throwback to the the William Castle era, basically. Mr. Mom, classic 80s film. And I watched this movie a million times when I was a kid. I used to rent this movie on VHS back in the day. Natural Born Killers, 4K. This just came out. This is awesome. Oh God, not heavily religious, but I do love me some George Burns playing God. It's kind of just a fun film. I actually like the second one with the kid the best. Private School, trashy 80s. This is probably one of the trashiest like teen sex comedies from the 80s. We've got some DVDs here. Psycho Legacy was a documentary on the making of the Psycho films, which is awesome. This is all shout as well. It was a Roger Corman collection here that I have a few of these. The Evil, I like Twice Dead a lot. The Evil's not the greatest. Jackson County Jail and Caged Heat is a classic film. Women in Prison film. Rollerball, 4K. Nice. It's a good movie, James Caan movie. Roller Coaster, which is a cool disaster film from the 70s. This is awesome. This is an older Scream Factory. Rolling Thunder, there's a 4K coming out of this. I'll probably be getting the 4K, but this is the regular Shout Factory Blu-ray. Made for TV movie, Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic, trashy, great Linda Blair made for TV film. The Stepfather, this is like the very first Shout Factory release on freaking Blu-ray. But this before, Scream didn't exist when this came out, so it would have been a Scream Factory release, but it's not. I love The Stepfather. That's a very old release. This Alice Cooper concert, the Madhouse Rock Tour, this is a Shout Factory release. They did some music stuff here and there, too. Streets of Fire, 4K. What's his name? Walter Hill. Suburbia, this is awesome. This is Penelope Spheris. This is like a really cool punk rock. It's got Flea in it as an early role from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, isn't it? Summer School, awesome. Like just 80s teen comedy. It's got a reference to Texas Chainsaw Massacre in it. It's really cool. The Sure Thing, I love this. This came out again. This is a great Rob Reiner film with, what's his name? John Cusack. I love 3 O'Clock High. 3 O'Clock High is one of my all-time favorite, like, teen movies. This is just, like, a really artsy, cool teen comedy from the 80s. Trespass, this is another cool movie. Like, just, like, a cool, like, action thriller. UHF, this is an old one. Weird Al Yankovic's, like, I think only film that he actually made as Weird Al Yankovic. But this is a great classic 80s movie. Gotta move a little quicker here, my camera's gonna shut off. Used Cars, 4K, classic. This is Robert Zemeckis, but this is a nice, funny 80s funny comedy. Valley Girl, not much needs to be said about this. Classic movie with, what's his name? Nicolas Cage. All right, War Games. One of my favorite 80s films, 4K, classic movie. I mean, I saw this movie in the movie theater as a kid. Great. Walking Tall, this is a really old one. The Walking Tall trilogy. It has all the Walking Tall movies, 1, 2, and 3. And I love these movies. These are great, like, revenge films from 70s, 80s, really. All right. When Harry Met Sally, one of my favorite Annie Hall ripoffs, because this movie basically is an Annie Hall ripoff, but it's a classic movie. Rob Reiner. And we're at the end here, so let's finish this up. Wildcats with Goldie Hawn. This is a classic. This is a good sports comedy. I enjoy that. And this is a really old one. This is the Big Birdcage, Big Dollhouse, Women in Cages. Women in Cages collection. It's a Roger Corman. These are the Pam Grier, basically. She's in the first one. I think, is she in all of them? I think. I'm not sure if she's in all of them, but these, yeah, she's in this one. Yeah, she's in all 3 of them, I think. These are Pam Grier Women in Prison movies. Okay, so this is the tail end of the video here. I had a couple of the steelbooks that I had in the bottom. I've got Carrie, of course, classic Brian De Palma. Child's Play 1 came out in a steelbook from Scream. These are all Scream Factory, or Shout. The Fog, this is a Scream Factory release, which I love, this John Carpenter movie, of course. Shout Factory did Red Dawn, which is awesome. That came out. And Shout Factory also did Rock and Roll High School. So most of these are 4K. I think all of them are 4K except for Rock and Roll High School. And I also had, I still have the box for the Halloween set that came out. The big Halloween box set from Scream. I don't have all the movies that were in this set anymore because I kind of sold off the ones that I got the 4Ks for. But I kept Halloween 1 and 2, the Rob Zombie ones. So yeah, there it is. There's my Shout and Scream Factory collection. I mean, I hope you enjoyed it. It's kind of a long video. My camera keeps crashing on me. But if you like these kind of videos, like, subscribe, yeah. Come back, leave comments, let me know what you think. What are your favorite Shout Scream Factory releases? I'll do more of these if people like them. Maybe I'll do my Arrow ones and my Criterion ones as well. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Jay Byrne. I've been your host for the SFX Loop this week. I also do guitar related stuff, which will come next week. So I hope you enjoyed. Take care.